Hello everyone, Armand from A-Photography here. So we are at the part 4 into kind of setting up newborn photography business. So at this point you have thought about everything, you have your money cushion, you have saved up. You probably at this point, maybe you're still in full-time employment. I probably would recommend that you are still at that point. You have done your model calls, you have built some sort of website you have, or a page or something. It could be that you have a social media channel set up and you have your Instagram where people can see what you do, and your whatever Facebook and things like that. So you are okay, you have done everything for free so far. There's been no money made at this point. So you're like, okay, time to make some money. So we have that portfolio, we can show what we can do, and we can start charging. So so today we're going to talk mainly about the pricing part, pricing, kind of like structuring a little bit and things like that. So I'm just going to talk a lot about my own personal experience. What did I do, how do I do and what worked, what didn't work, etc. First of all, I forgot to say, check out the blog post in description. So that is pretty comprehensive blog post and a lot of information. Whatever I have forgotten to talk about, I'll be adding to that blog post. So go and check that one out as well. Now, okay, let's dive into that pricing part. My pricing guide. I don't know, wherever I might be sharing some photos maybe or something. So I have in front of me my pricing guide, I have my product guide, and I have my experience or welcome guide of the genres I do, what do I do, etc. basically. Now we're talking about pricing. This is all from the times, well, very recent times, when I was full-time photography, involved in full-time newborn photography. So all these things basically helped me to establish the experience, expectations, especially money expectations, etc. So now, since I'm going in my full-time employment, my photography is now weekends only. So this is becoming my kind of side income. You could call it basically hobby maybe, but I bet a lot of you will be in this very situation as I'm about to enter this. So when I left uni, I went head in straight away, deep end basically, with pricing and everything. So there was no kind of time. Oh, I think I have somewhere my first ever pricing, and I'm looking at that. I was like, what I was taking. Anyway, so so I'm going into this kind of like more side income business model, and it's much more simpler from experience part, from money part. It's very basic. There is no IPS. So from day one, when I started newborn photography, I always did IPS. So since 2009, I've never done galleries, kind of whatever, buy photos in the galleries and things like that. It's been always IPS, projector, sitting down, we're watching. Yes, you're gonna make a lot better averages, but it requires also a lot more of your time, to do the IPS, to know how to do IPS very well, how to prepare for it, how to prepare parents for it. So things like that. So there is definitely a bigger learning curve. So we're just gonna talk through. I'll start with the situation where I'm now, and then I'll talk a little bit about the kind of like all IPS experiences as well. So structuring now, so from get-go, you have some main questions to ask yourself. So are you the main breadwinner in a family? So if yes, that was me as well, you need to make sure you're earning enough. So I don't know if I should be talking about this now or not. It does connect with the money as well, but maybe I might address this a bit later. But you need to make sure that your bills are paid, you're making money, and most importantly, what a lot of photographers forget is you're paying yourself too. You didn't create a newborn photography just to make a job, like a salary. and that's it. So you basically created for yourself a job, not a business. So you need to kind of remember that you're paying yourself, you're making a profit, and you're covering all the bills as well. So that is if you're going, that is if you're going all in full time, I would say. If you're going on your weekends, you are probably then in full-time employment, so that probably hopefully covers all of your bills, apart of maybe business some bills, maybe, I don't know, whatever payments, but you probably shouldn't have any big business bills at this point. Maybe website hosting, I don't know, because you have bought most of the equipment already. Hopefully you didn't use credit cards, don't do what I did. So you have saved money for all of that, and you bought that with the money you had. So probably if you're side income, you're pricing everything simple. You basically going to be thinking, okay, how much money do I want to make in this to just be happy? So maybe you're using this money for savings, for traveling, I don't know, buying something for yourself, stuff like that. So you'll be thinking about kind of the mindset will be different because you have a security already. Your probably partner works as well, and you're making enough money to pay whatever you need to pay for, but you just feel like you could make more money on the side, like I'll be doing in a few months, quite confidently. So your pricing is very simple. In my case scenario, it's very much geared towards digital files. I offer portrait boxes as well, which include digital files. Menu is very simple. You have two options. You have option to have like a shorter session for newborns and a longer session for newborns. And if you want to upgrade, and both of them include 5 files already, and then they can purchase an upgrade to purchase full gallery upgrade. There is no IPS, we're not meeting. After the session, they receive a watermarked PDF, and a PDF is literally of small thumbnails. It's not like a big photo gallery or something where they just start screenshotting or sending photos to AI to remove watermarks and stuff like that. Those are just the small. If you want to play this safer, a lot safer, what I used to do, I don't have a problem of people stealing photos as such pretty much, but if you want to be more safer, what I used to do is I would record on my phone. I would take the phone and I would record a video of the gallery in my Lightroom. So it would be thumbnails, and I would just literally record and export that in a small resolution, so people would see what kind of photos they are getting, and then they can make a decision, do we want to upgrade for everything or just to pick 5. So the main part is simplicity. Since you're making just money on the side, you need to make sure your processes are very simple, very easy to understand how much everything costs. I also have a video explaining what is the short session, what is the long session, what do you get from each other. So all the process for me is streamlined and very self-explanatory. So there shouldn't be a question of how much everything costs, because everything is on a website. You just go on my website and you can actually see everything is there. And when people are reaching out, they generally already know, do we want the small session or do we want the long session? Which way do we want to go? And then I have kind of, for those who want to upgrade into products, I have a different product guides here. So obviously you see the wall art in my studio, portrait boxes and things like that. So again, all the products are actually on my website, videos explaining about each product, because since I don't do IPS, I have a little bit time after the session where I would just kind of explain briefly what are the options. Obviously we will go through through this, but generally speaking, it's digital files what they really want, and everything priced is accordingly. How much money do I want to make? I want to do the 4 sessions. I know I have time for 4 sessions a month, and it's very simple math. You just go like, this is the number I want to make, divide by 4, that is how much I want to make. There is nothing really else to it. You're pricing in obviously if you have any maybe studio bills, maybe editing bills if you're not editing yourself and outsourcing that part, so obviously you're adding those in. If you're offering, you know, additional prints to go with your galleries, then obviously you're pricing that in as well as a product. So those are your all expenses, so you need to figure out how much profit you're going to actually take from that. And also obviously there is a little bit of a tax part as well for you to think about, you know, how much in your country, how much money you are allowed to make before they start taxing you. So depends probably on your wage as well, how much wage your salary you're getting. So so yes, so tax comes into that play as well. You obviously need to remember about the tax man. So if you're doing what I did all these years, your IPS's ballgame slightly changes, because that's where you start probably introducing a bigger packages. So you're going your list of whatever 4, 5. I think I had a 4. I think or 3. No, 3. I always had 3 packages, and plus separate package for files only, for example, which was always pretty expensive because I always wanted people to have products. And I pretty successfully always was selling the packages with actually physical products, because I really believe in a physical product. And when I was talking about, I always, you know, explain why I have a portrait box. Why would you want to have a portrait on your wall? Where in the house? Why would that be important to you? Etc. etc. So it involves a lot of more kind of client experience, talking, understanding them understanding you. So there are always involvement in phone calls, maybe multiple preparation phone calls, just to make sure that you all are on the same page, that there is no surprise moment at any point when somebody just goes, oh crap, I didn't know that this is going to cost me this much or whatever. So when somebody came in my studio, I always emphasize kind of like importance of what we are about to do here, where these portraits were going to go, what you're going to do with these portraits. And people always came in, then they came in a studio and they would see the actual products and they would like, okay, I like that one, or this one. And the pricing always was made. For example, I have my packages up here, and I have kind of like a la carte or wall products basically here, and these are kind of like upgrades and add-ons. And in my packages I always had a portrait box so 10 photos, 15 or 20, and a 20 box came with all the files as well, and it comes with a credit towards wall portrait. So it's kind of, there is already physical product in those base packages involved, which was my portrait box, and it was quite profitable as well to sell that, and it didn't cost me too much money to get that. So basically, yes, so you really need to think about how much. So at this point, if you're going full-time, you probably don't have full-time job. So this is going to be your business. This is going to be your money-making machine. so basically, this is where you really need to start thinking about the numbers of what is your dream number, how much money do you want to earn, and how many sessions physically can you do per month. And then you divide, you know, all that into, you know, how many days can you work, what do I need to make per session to achieve whatever the number I have come up with. Obviously that involves a lot of marketing at that point too, because you're probably going to be trying to sell more expensive packages. So you'll be kind of like figuring out, okay, what kind of client I want, what is your client avatar, what do they do, how much money they have, what is important to them. You know, you physically kind of almost imagining this person. So when I was making all these price lists, and by the way, I have done mentoring with quite few photographers. So I did a bit of work with Mark Rosetto. I really love Mark's approach. He's Australian, so for you Australian guys. Then obviously I did a bit of Steve Saporito courses as well. So those are all very comprehensive about experience and building that experience and expectations, and making sure, you know, you have your good structure of the pricing. I've gone through I think 4 or 5 different structures of the pricings before. So total a la carte, I did that didn't work very well. At the beginning I had 3 packages, but I was giving away way too much in those packages. So I was actually creating a lot of work with creating those products, albums or whatever, and not making enough money if you divide that per hour. So I was pretty much making salary, normal salary. So like, again, I have created a job for myself, but not a business really. So you need to make sure you make your profits, and you really, it's worthwhile for you to do this, because it's not necessarily the easiest job to do, as you will probably from practicing gonna notice that. So yes, and I've done so mini session and a full session. I had the option of that too, similar to what I have at the moment, but it was more distinctive difference on why somebody want to have a full shoot or somebody to have a mini shoot, for example. So again, I had a different videos for that, explaining this to potential clients as well. And on this menu, I can see I was selling digital files in the packages 5, 10 or 20. And again, I knew that a lot of people were going to have digital files, so I wanted to make sure that whatever they're buying, your base package already covers at least some sort of base money expectations from you. So whatever your bottom is, that should be your kind of like add a little bit on top to cover all the expenses. That should be your bottom. Your bottom is not under, for example, minimum, you need to make £400, but my bottom package is going to be £300. You're already losing money at that point, and which makes no sense to do three-hour session and you basically work for nothing. So make sure you're careful on a pricing out. So like I said, the main part for you will be really figuring out what is my number? I don't know, whatever that number is, let's say 50,000. So 50,000, then you're going to know how many weeks can you work, how many days per that week I can work. And then you just know roughly some numbers, how to get there. Oh dear, I don't know if I want to open this kind of worms, but let's open it. So I know some trainers will not gonna like this. I know some people will not gonna like this as well. But since I've done quite a bit of training, I have gone through quite a few big names, and I always again and again hear the same thing that they say. It doesn't matter where you are. There's going to be always people who are going to pay a lot of bucks for what you do. Let me tell you, at least in UK, it does not work for newborn photographers like that, unless I don't know who you need to be. But, to get those consistently £1,200, sales, not easy, really, really hard. At least, and I'm in Edinburgh, I'm in the capital basically of Scotland. So I can tell you for sure that it's much, much harder to find those above 1,000. And they always say, oh, it doesn't matter, if the average sale in the US or Australia is two and a half, whatever, $3,000, that is equivalent of the pounds in UK. So there should be £2,500, £3,000 average sales in UK. And yes, occasionally, that's a keyword, you're gonna get sales like that if you do the properly all steps in IPS. And occasionally you come across, these big, buyers, and I've had plenty of those as well. But it's not consistently every month you're getting sales like that. That's no bueno. And it does matter where you are and in which country you are and and which area you are. I can tell you, and I'm opening can here. I have photographed a lot of different clients from different countries basically. So they have come here, especially we're talking specifically newborn photography, Australians, New Zealanders, Hong Kong people, Americans. I can tell you there is a massive difference in mentality and approach to money and spending money on photography. American comes in here, I can guarantee you is going to be a good sale. We are talking those 2K above sales, because they just spend money on that, and they love spending money on that. Generally, everyone who has been here, they love, and it's so easy to sell to this person, explain them, like they love experience, they love service. Basically, I always have said to my wife, I've made this business in wrong country. Nothing against Scotland or UK people, but I know for a fact if it would be, you know, in States, it would be so much easier to make money, basically good money with photography. So Americans always come here, they just like, give me the experience, explain me everything what you have. They're almost selling this to themselves, always like, oh, I want this and that's amazing product, yeah, I want that as well. So I mean, very straightforward, very easy to work with these clients. Yes, a bit more hand-holding needed to be done, but they love that. Now, your New Zealanders, Australians, they love coming in here. They will spend money, but you really need to explain them what they will spend money on. They're a bit more like in mentality as Americans, but they really like they're more straightforward people. They're always kind of like to the point. No fluffing here. Just tell me how it is, how much, whatever I'm getting. As long as you can explain confidently what you're doing, how much you're charging, they're okay with that. They will be doing a bit of a shopping, but generally if you can, tick the boxes for them, it'll be really well. And the Hong Kong people, they love spending money on the newborn photography, but they have normally quite high bar of expectations what you can deliver in terms of photography itself. So a lot of props, very crazy setups and things like that. So there is a lot of expectation to be had, but they are happy to pay for whatever editing and extras and things like that. So, but in UK, what I see, like people really love, the newborn photography, and they love to have those photos, but it's always like, who can do the cheapest? Very often is like all budgets, and especially in this economy, is really hard to get above that, like 2,000 or some. Like people just simply look after their money a lot more now here, and it's much harder to, you can bend over, do the whole experience and everything, and they can just easily go on and screenshot your gallery and say, we don't want anything, basically. I've never had this happen, and I know in many other countries this happening too, but I definitely see, at least in the groups and forums and people talk, it just consistently happening basically here. So you need to really cover your, how can I say, cover your ass every time. Think, of ins and outs, and will they spend the money or not? You never know. I mean, I've never had I think I've had maybe once no sale, but that was long time ago. But you just don't want situations like that. It's the mentality is just basically quite different, and the budgets are very different. So I will gonna go against that, and I was just gonna say it does matter where you are, and what kind of money people are earning, and what is the mentality and culture and all that all ties into those sales. And I know these big dogs like to say it doesn't matter, but then when I ask them, can you show me a single studio, newborn specialist studio in UK who can consistently make those numbers, it's a crickets. Like, I've been in these forums, I've been in these groups, that is like, and suddenly you see a lot of these, like many of these newborn photographers suddenly becoming a boudoir photographer somehow, because it's like, I'm not gonna go in there, it's just funny stories, and I'm like, yeah, right, yeah, you just understood that you can't make that kind of money, and you decided to make a flip where there is more money, basically. Anyway, that's just kind of like a side note. I did open a can of worms. I'm expecting crap loads of shit for this, but anyway, I don't care. I have nothing anymore to lose. I'm not going back to any of those trainers, most likely, but I will definitely give a big thank you for them, helping, guiding, and I always recommend, just go at least to one kind of I don't want to say famous or popular or whatever, somebody who really knows what they're talking about, and try to, you have Megan in US, I think, Di Piero, I can't remember her surname, but she's very good on the money part as well, basically, for photographers. Anyway, so yeah, so that's kind of like on a pricing. I know you can really make mistakes. Do not start low. I always say this. I didn't start low. I started quite, I think 450 was my base, and I just kind of went up from day one. I didn't start low, so I just kind of straight away, I knew my base, and that's where I went from. I didn't want to undercharge myself, because if you undercharge myself, and there are plenty of photographers locally as well, 60 pounds, 100 pounds, 150 pounds, you know how difficult it is to go from 150 pound package to 1,000 pound package. Like, oh my God, what do you need to do to convince somebody to have that? So let's say you have spent 1 year in 150 bracket, and then you decide, okay, I want to go to 300 now. You're gonna lose pretty much all your client base, because you are doubling prices at this point, and everyone will be considering you as that cheap photographer. Oh, you should go to that cheap photographer, and they're great, and there's a lot of good photographers, but they're charging really, really little money for what they do. And then I'm thinking, okay, how are you gonna get from that 150 up 500-600? Yeah, you're just gonna lose all your client base, and you need to start attracting again new client base. So I would rather start somewhere in the middle, let's say 400, somewhere there, and then it's much easier just to incrementally go up. Let's say, year 2, 600, kind of 700, 800, you're just doing kind of jumps as years go, basically, or you're changing products or whatever experience, but do not start low. Okay, let's open one more can of worms. Right, this is from personal experience. Like, I've never talked with anybody about this. I don't care, but I need to say this. Do not look at your competition, whatever, local or national competition. Don't look at them, and you will be thinking, oh my God, they are doing great. Looks like they are, shooting all the time, and money is coming in probably, and everything seems like so much better for them than me. And I was not necessarily the person who was looking at others, but others were looking at me and thinking I am that person who was like shooting like crazy and doing stuff and doing baby shows, and like, oh my God, the stuff for marketing I have done. I have made, Jesus, so many bad calls on marketing, spent tons of money in advertising and newspapers and magazines of everything. But yes, very often photographers were just basically meeting me, and they would be like, oh, you're doing so well, amazing. Nobody knew that I was in debt like this. I was really stressed always. Nobody saw that. You just don't show that part. You just kind of like, oh, bubbly and social media and blah, 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 and everything is so good, so great. But at the backstage, the things are just, the house is burning, basically. So there was a point in 2016 where I was thinking to shut down. I was on the brink. I was like, I need to do something, radically change, because I'm too stressed. And yes, I am shooting. Yes, I'm giving the positive experience. Yes, that all is working. But like financially, it was really difficult, kind of from making the pricing very well, making everything kind of blend together. And I didn't do those kind of like deep dive pricing, trainings and things like that. I've done them a bit later, where everything kind of like came together, and probably past 5-6 years it's been okay, basically. So definitely after COVID I just had a big jump, basically. So, and a bit of before that. But yes, 2016 was rough. Like, I mean, I was 6 years probably in the business. I was shooting a lot, but I was not pricing my pricing correctly, and things were just falling apart. Like, it was not fun. It was really bad. So do not look at other photographers and think that they are doing great. You have no idea what is happening in the background. They might be driving flashy cars, doing flashy things, but you don't know. They might be doing that all on a credit card, basically. Debt is like up to here, and you have no idea what actually is happening. So you always look at your own business first. Look what you're doing. Is this making money? Is this working? Stop looking on other photographers, what they charge. Stop scrolling through your competition and thinking like, oh, I'm just gonna go 50 quid under and they'll all come to me. I have always said this to photographers. Client is, yes, there are price shoppers who just price shopping, but that probably is not your client if they are really price shopping and trying to gouge your price down, and you should not be working with these people anyway. So there are other photographers who can work with them. So you always look at what you need to do and stop undercutting other photographers. Competition is healthy. That means you are pushing. You're basically like thinking, okay, I need to improve this. I need to do this better, that better, basically. And building that experience, building the referrals. So make sure the people are referring you. So that there will be different reasons why somebody is going to come to me. There will be different reasons why somebody goes to Rachel or Zofie, or anybody else who does a newborn photography. Anybody, there will be different reasons why they went to those other photographers and not me. And if they didn't come to me, okay, so be it. Basically, move on. There's lots of reasons why probably they didn't come to me, and there is nothing I could do to convince them to come to me. Basically, so it is what it is. You just move on. You try to attract next client, basically. So stop looking around too much on your competition. Make sure your numbers are correct, and you don't look at the £150 photographer and think that's what I should be charging. You should know your numbers, and you should really pay attention how to succeed in your whatever side income or in your business by knowing your numbers. And I unfortunately didn't know a lot of these numbers when I started, and I started crazy and recklessly anyway, basically. So, and I was very cocky about that too, which someone up there gave me a good lesson. It's like pushed me right down and said, you sit right there and think what you've done. Anyway, basically, so yeah, that's a bit of personal. But yeah, so hopefully this was helpful from the pricing perspective. I expect, a bit of kind of rambling going maybe in the comments, but whatever this is, I'm open book and can talk about the things. But yes, thank you very much again, and I'm probably going to be making extra videos. This should be concluding my 4-part but I have some extra videos written down I need to make, and they'll be on this playlist anyway as well. Thank you very much. Bye bye.